Hi, my name is Dylan Hall, and I am a senior in database concentration computer science major at Radford University.
Good afternoon. My name is Tony Sanchez. I'm also a senior at Radford University, and my major is computer science with a concentration in database.
Our class project for data warehousing and visualization explored how and why minimum wage is what it is in each state, and more importantly, the effect GDP per capita has on minimum wage. Basically, GDP per capita is the economic output of an area, state, or nation per person, a measure of average wealthiness and overall prosperity, if you will.
What we found is that wealthier states with higher GDPs per capita tend to have higher minimum wages. Minimum wage in the United States does favor the West Coast and Northeast, simply meaning that the West Coast states and Northeastern states tend to have higher minimum wages. As GDP per capita goes up, minimum wage does as well.
Now, why is this important to know? Minimum wage has reasons why it's at where it's at for each state. One might be curious to know what these reasons are, or maybe they just want to move to a state with a higher minimum wage. It's important to understand the trends behind minimum wage in order to make better decisions involving it in the future.
From our first visual, you can see state minimum wage mapped as it is across the country. First, you notice that states on the West Coast and the Northeast do tend to have higher minimum wages. You can also see that Southern Midwestern states tend to have relatively low minimum wages. Our strongest outliers from this visual are New Hampshire, Michigan, Nevada, and Illinois. New Hampshire and Nevada having relatively low minimum wages, where we would predict them to have high ones. A question that is raised from this visual is, why is minimum wage weighted so strongly or so much higher on the West Coast and in northeastern states?
And the reason for this is because these states have higher GDP per capitas than Southern and Midwest states. As GDP per capita goes up, so does minimum wage. You can see, according to our visual, our trend line shows steady growth upwards, but there being a whole bunch of states with low GDP per capita bunched at 725, which is the federal minimum wage, suggesting that lesser off states want to make their minimum wage as small as they can without running afoul of federal laws, whereas better off states, which is those near or above 80K, have pretty high minimum wages.
In conclusion, we found that states that can afford paying their people higher minimum wages have higher GDPs per capita. Minimum wage is weighted more towards the West Coast and Northeastern states, but it's understandable because these states tend to have higher GDPs per capita. The higher the GDP per capita, the higher the minimum wage. Thank
Thank
you
you
very much.
for your time and thank you for watching.